everyone. Good morning to
Good
our
morning po.
viewers in YouTube and Facebook. Good morning also. So for today, this is our day of the conference, and this morning we will have a plenary session for leadership management and community development. With us today is Dr. Catherine Lourdes D. Hello, Dr. D. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so Dr. D is or will be our plenary speaker for this morning. So I think most of our participants are watching live in YouTube and Facebook because of the difficulty in the connection. So Dr. D has been introduced in our previous posts as well as on primer. So Dr. D, you may have the floor now.
Thank you so much, Alatita. And say hello. Hello. Good morning po sa lahat. My name is Kate. Please just call me Kate. It's much easier. And just to let you know, I'm currently in Europe and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So baka maya-maya dumating yung aking baby. So just to let you know that there might be a baby showing up. But until then, we can start with the plenary session. I wanted to quickly introduce myself to those of you who maybe don't know me yet. As I said, my name is Kate, and I identify as an academic practitioner. So right now, I'm contracted by the University de Bruxelles. It's the Free University of Brussels. It's where I finished my PhD, and I'm still working with them as a researcher. And at the same time, I'm also working here in Romania, where I am now, as a program manager with the Peace Action Training Research Institute of Romania. So PATIR. At PATIR, especially now during COVID, usually I travel half to Brussels and I stay half in Romania. But because of COVID, right now I am stuck in Romania with my family. But that's all right. Here at PATIR, I am managing 4 European project teams. So within my department, I run the department on migration, refugee integration, and support. We have 3 projects. One of them is regarding victims of sexual trafficking here in Romania. The other one is regarding the integration of third country nationals, so kasama po dito yung mga Pilipino, sa Romania. And the last project is the integration of resettled refugees. So these are 3 project teams within my department. And in addition, I'm also managing a 4th project. I'm directly managing it because it's a particularly complex project. It's called Champions. And I can share the link to our website later in the chat. But this project is looking at addressing group-focused enmity. So addressing issues such as sexism, racism, discrimination, and anti-migrant perspectives, for example, in 4 countries in Europe: Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Germany. And we have 8 European partners in this project. So overall, in total, I'm managing 4 teams of around, I haven't counted recently, let's say over 30 people working for the different projects. And in total, the different projects would be around 3 million euros of budget overall. So they're quite large, but the teams are really, really good. So everyone is so passionate and everyone is so competent, and really, despite COVID, we've been working so hard, and so far everything is going really well. I wanted to say that in the previous years, everything has been going as normal when regards to management and leadership. You have your activities, you have your outputs, you have your deliverables, you have your project teams, you know how each person works, how they respond to deadlines and everything, their strengths and capabilities. Everything was normal. I mean, we had a lot of work. When you meet people on the same Google Doc at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, hi, we're working at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why are we doing this? But I mean, that's how it goes. And then in February of this year, when COVID started. And to give you an overview, here in Romania, it actually started pretty much with anti-Asian racism, pati sa mga Pilipino. So, on the news, it's always described as the Chinese virus, the virus coming from China, from Asia. And the immediate result is that in Romania, the first thing that we noticed, of course, we heard the news about the virus. It was everywhere. But the first thing that happened was rising anti-Asian sentiment. So pati po yung mga Pilipino dito, we would hear things like, go back to China. Hindi naman po ako galing China. I'm from Manila. And mga ganun po. So even I personally started experiencing racism. Yung mga taxi, they started refusing me to enter. They would pretend to cough. And it was clear to me, okay, it was because of COVID. One of the worst things happened in Bucharest. A young Filipino man, he was pushed off of the train by some youth because they thought that he was Chinese and he was carrying the virus. So this is how it started in early February here in Romania. And then by March, everything closed. Our schools all closed, work from home na, and then it became ilang months na ba? It's now pretty much 9 months, almost 10 months na yung galing February of quarantine and lockdown. Actually, as of Thursday last week, we entered the red scenario again. So schools closed again. So it was like that. The immediate effect on everyone was really drastic. So imagine the schools closed, you're still working, but then you have kids at home. And then we also had some shortages, especially of flour and meat, pati canned goods. Actually, we also had shortages. It was really quite bad. But then work keeps on going. So I was still actually managing the project. The projects were still there, even with COVID. And I had to make a choice, basically, what would be the priority? Would the priority be the project, our outputs, our commitment to the European Commission who is funding all of these projects? Or would the priority be the people that are working under me? So immediately to me, it really wasn't a question. My priority would always be the people. So on my end, within my capacity as a project manager, I did my best really to adapt everything that I could. So anything that could be delayed, we delayed. Anything that could be converted to online, and I'll tell you a little more about this later, we converted to online. So imagine, if not, we committed to this deadline on the 31st of March, we will meet it no matter what. No, that's, I think that, at least personally, that was not the right approach. The right approach was, we're all suffering this together. We need to support each other. Deadlines are deadlines. If we miss them, whatever, we can meet them at another month. But if you personally, are being overwhelmed by this, if you have family members affected, if you're working with kids at home, as I am, that's a really, really different issue. So I implemented maximum flexibility under what is now being called compassionate management. So really putting people first in this. And it was pretty much natural. I can give you my example. So as you know, schools closed in March and I was working from home with a 3-year-old. Those of you who have 3-year-olds, it's very different to working from home with an older child or with a teenager or without any children. It's very, very different. And I was just imagining, okay, I'm alone in this country, in Romania. We have no family to help, even with family that was COVID. Working full-time with a 3-year-old, pretty much during the day I was taking care of him, and then I was working in the night. So, he would sleep at 8 o'clock and I would start working at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then I would stop working at around 5 o'clock in the morning and then make breakfast for him. So the question is, kailan ka pa natutulog? I don't know the answer to that question. In the beginning, and it wasn't just me, many of the people in my project teams, they also have a child or multiple children, which is a different issue. And in the beginning, we thought it's only short term, we will survive, it's fine. And then when we realized that COVID was going to take months, then the shift came. I also want to give you the example of some of my colleagues also working for the project, for example, in school teachers or working as university lecturers. That was really a huge shift. Because imagine working for the project and then being told suddenly that everything that you're doing has to be shifted online. So they had to, one, learn how to use Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Hangouts. And then they had to create entirely new syllabi to do it online. And no longer could you do, lectures in lecture halls and hear the feedback of your students. Everything really happened online. And that was a massive undertaking on top of working for a different project, on top of taking care of children and family members. So it was really, really difficult. But I think, what we did with the maximum flexibility and compassionate management, in the beginning, it was a little bit of a question mark because I didn't know what the result would be. Would the result be that everyone would just prioritize their own things and not think about the project? That is, of course, a risk, being realistic. If you, as a manager, don't say this is the most important thing that you have to do, then it is possible that people will just put your tasks to the side. But actually, and I can say this because, as I said, it's already been 10 months, the result was the complete opposite. So the result of this kind of approach is that we're actually doing better than we thought before COVID started. So to give you an example of what's happening in my fourth project on Champions. This project, actually, the goal is to bring together a first-line practitioner. So by this term, we mean school teachers, police officers, psychologists, anybody who gets really the first line of anything that has to do with discrimination or racism or radicalization. And of course, we have non-traditional stakeholders, parents, religious leaders, community leaders. They're also part of these multi-stakeholder groups. So before COVID, we had them in person. And it was really great because there you would have people meeting each other for the first time, let's say. Let's say you are an NGO and you're working against bullying. And you meet the school inspectorate representative, and they're also working against bullying. And of course, a representative of a religious group. And it is also a major concern, actually. And it's the first time that you meet and you realize that you have the same goals. And we also brought together, the youth as well and other gender representation. So it was amazing. It were powerful events in 4 countries here in Europe. And then COVID happened and we had to stop everything for the safety of our participants and of our staff. And what we did to apply our compassionate management not only to our own projects, but also to the people who are involved in them, is we engaged in 3 months of consultation with the people who are involved in our event. So this was March, April, and May of this year. Because, it's easy to say, okay, we can't do an in-person event, let's do it online. But actually, in reality, it's not that easy, not only for the organizers, but for the people. Here in Romania, for example, and I'm sure that it's common everywhere in every country, we got the feedback that, okay, it's a household that has only one laptop with a webcam, a faulty internet connection, and 2 children who need to do homeschooling, and 2 parents who need to work from home with 1 laptop. So in this kind of scenario, if you just simply shift everything online, it doesn't take into account the different difficulties that each person is really experiencing. So really, 3 months of consultation in 4 countries was done to make sure that as much as possible we would get their support and we would get their input. The result is that in 3 countries we did online events, online roundtables as we call them, and in the 4th country, because it was really impossible for the practitioners because of their workload and also technical difficulties, we said we would hold off until the autumn, and they have been holding now in-person events. So it's the kind of let's say holistic perspective that really we need to be compassionate about what everyone is suffering. Just because I have a relatively functional laptop, it's 5 years old, probably it's going to die in the next 2 weeks, but it's still working. And I have a functioning internet connection. It doesn't mean that everyone does. So this is what we applied, and the result was excellent because, as you know, with online events, you can lose people. Like if you're coming to an in-person event, you're kind of stuck there. Okay, you come and you sit and you stay until lunch and you're there. But with an online event, you can say that you're coming and then you just don't. Or you would come and then participants would leave after, say, 30 minutes or 1 hour. This is my experience over the past 10 months with other online events. But because of our in-depth consultation with the people that we invited to ours, the result is also ownership. They know that they were consulted. They know that it was a communal decision. So that's why I think that they have been successful so far. We've all shifted to in-person events in autumn at the start of September. But now we're most likely going to online events as well because of COVID. I also wanted to give an example of scaling up that we're doing within the project. So one of the conditions of European projects is dissemination, as in all of the projects. And within Champions, we had planned to do it on multiple levels. So policy dissemination focused on policy and decision makers, so politicians. Academic dissemination focused on researchers and scholars. And also, of course, public dissemination, general public, because group focus enmity is such a cross-cutting issue. So in the beginning of the project, we were a bit concerned about all of these because they're very optimistic goals for a 30-month project. But, and especially when COVID happened as well, there became large question marks in our mind. Would we actually be able to do this? But as a result really of so much engagement and so much passion from the consortium that I'm working with, we're holding one major policy event where the European Commission ran its radicalization awareness network on Tuesday morning European time, and it's looking really excellent. We had planned to publish a few journal articles. Imagine the timeline, 30 months really isn't a lot of time to write. But as a result, we are now publishing an entire journal special issue on the research done, and it will be out in January of next year. So, these things that really, with working together and with such passionate people, and despite all of the challenges, these are things that can be achieved. And I wanted to say that I had never planned to be in a leadership position when I started my career. Just to let you know that I started in academia. I graduated and then I started as an instructor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. I always thought that I would stay in academia forever, and now I find myself half in academia and half in nonprofit work, which I realize is where I really, really want to be. And that said, I was never prepared for management or leadership. I never took up any kind of management course. So when it became clear that my role would be management of teams, not just a team, but multiple teams in an international setting, I really look back to my experience, and I'm extremely grateful to the good people I've met along the way. The good managers, the good leaders who have been an excellent example to me, what to do, what to take into consideration. And also, I am grateful as well to the bad managers I've met along the way. I think we've all had that experience of being under bad leadership or some form of mismanagement, people who want to make us leave. To put it very, very simply. So for this, there are many reasons, and I think I've experienced all of them. One of them is mismanagement. There's also workplace harassment, including sexual harassment. There's also ethical lines being crossed, for example, fraud. I've seen it as well. Most recently, and maybe you're familiar with this term, the concept of gaslighting from the workplace. So when you're working under a boss who engages in psychological manipulation, so being nice in front of other people, but directly to your colleagues or to you, being frankly unacceptable. And because of these experiences, these good experiences and these bad experiences, I can say that, I'm very grateful to all of them, frankly, because I know what kind of manager I would like to be, and I try to avoid the bad experiences that I've had, and I think that so far, thankfully, I've had so many bad experiences that I know what to avoid, so it's working so far. So with compassionate management, it's two things, I think, as a bottom line. The first thing is that to do your best as a person, as a human. So not only to think of the bottom line or of KPIs, key performance indicators, but to really put yourself in the shoes of your team. And this one is particularly easy for me. I unfortunately have a tendency to really put myself in the shoes of the team that, I feel emotionally connected to them, and if they're suffering, I'm also suffering, so that's easy. But the result is that, it's authentic, it's real compassion. It's not just words, but it's actually put into practice. And the second thing is to be compassionate to yourself and to your subordinates. So if you are working in a situation where there is, for example, abuse or manipulation, or if you're in a workplace environment that you think is unhealthy for yourself or for people who are more junior than you, to protect yourself and also to protect those people. I know that there are many articles recently, especially as well as a result of COVID, regarding this, when to quit your job, what is the good manager, and so forth. And I think they're very useful. I would just like to add a little caveat that all of these articles that say that if you're not happy, quit, they need to take into consideration also the economic perspective, because that's really not a practical approach. I would say that if you're not happy as a junior, do your best to report it to your immediate manager. If you're not happy as a manager, do your best to change the workplace culture and the infrastructure. But if you have tried to do everything and it still doesn't work, then it is at that point that maybe you might be more valued elsewhere. So, sorry, I thought I heard my baby, but it was not. So, this is my sharing for today. I didn't want to make it very long because I also wanted to hear, if possible, from those who are here and your experiences with good or bad management, or if you are a manager, your experiences with COVID, especially, that would be really, really useful for me. So yes, that was it from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. D. So I think it's open forum time. Our researchers, do you have questions for Dr. D? We would also like to acknowledge that we have with us this morning our conference chair, Dr. Reynaldo Garnaces. Sir Ray, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Thank you so
morning.
much, Dr. D, for being with us. And I'm so happy and delighted to hear your sharing. Great, great. Thank you.
Okay, guys, questions. We're at this point again where everyone is shy, so we've overcome this on our plenary session with Dr. Jennings. Come on, you may post your questions or you may ask it directly. Okay, was there
Hi,
someone?
hi, Simon.
Yes, sir Ray.
Since nobody's sharing, maybe I'd like to share
Yeah.
because Dr. D is asking for values, our values, what we can give to other people. So I made this tagline, just give to the person. Okay, so and then I connected with the friends, the community, people I work with, even my former students who could help me out in some of my advocacies, some of my projects. So we went to different places in the region, to Tarangnan, to Eastern Samar, affected by typhoon, affected by COVID, and we pooled our resources together. Um, in fact, we even connected with Navara. So it's a group of owners of Navara who would ferry the goods from one place to another. So we went to different parts of the region. We went to jail also to distribute goods during COVID time. So that's one of the initiatives that I did. And I asked some of the people, even in the office, who would like to help out in the project. So it's a project involving the university, my faith community, the BCDP, and then some friends, no? Circle of friends. And then that's that happened for about how many months? Then after that, our resources were depleted because the people were also needing resources as well. So then I connected with the Department of Agriculture. Then we had Gulayan sa Paralan. So we established a livelihood project in the university so that we get connected also to the community. So we have maintenance team in the school. So we have bayanihan. So every afternoon we will plant vegetables in our garden in the university, and then we would give those to some of the faculty members or some of our workers in the university who would need free vegetables. And also we have some of our adopted communities. So we have adopted communities. That's in collaboration. And the recent activity that we are doing is establishment of academic kiosks in the municipality. So in the use of learning management system in virtual learning. So we know very well that many, as you mentioned earlier, many of our families, Filipino families, do not have the capacity in terms of gadgets, especially if they have many children. And then internet connectivity, especially those in the remote areas, in the far flunks or barangays. Literally, some of them had to climb trees so that they could get the connection. Okay, so in the asynchronous and synchronous classes, not all students can connect. So what we do is establish academic kiosks in the local government units. And then the students who don't have the capacity to go to the academic kiosk, so we put their computer and internet connection, and then supplies, materials, printers, so they could print their modules, then bring them home, then come back, and then upload their modules, and then send them back to their mentors. So this is the recent activity that we do in the university. So in terms of leadership and community development, I guess I appreciate what you're doing also, involving yourself in that non-government organization outreach program. So I think the most important thing is we do it out of love, and then we see what we really want in life. Is it all about gaining all this professional development or enriching yourself? But it's more of giving back, and paying it forward to other people because you're doing so much. So I've been talking a lot actually in our session because I had opening speech and plenary speech yesterday. I judged researches of our pedagogy, this integration research. So yeah, I guess that's the message that I would like to share to our participants, to our researchers also. The value of what we do, that it's always for the people, the service for our fellow men. So we receive so much, so we pay it forward, we give it back to them. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Now that you mention it, I wanted to share one more thing. By the way,
Yep.
In case you don't know, many of the migrants here in Romania are not in the same financial situation as the Filipino migrants, for example, in the US or in other parts of Western Europe. So when COVID happened, talagang everyone working in the HoReCa sector, the hotel and restaurant and entertainment sector, they were all laid off, sometimes illegally. They were made to sign resignation contracts in Romania and they didn't know what they were signing. So suddenly they lost their job. Pati po yung mga working in the caregiving sector because of COVID, just they were let go. So the result is at around March, talagang maraming Filipino dito na they were literally out of food because without employment, it was very difficult. So just because you mentioned the Filipino community and spirit, what the leadership of the Filipino migrants did there, mostly in Bucharest, and I'm in Pennsylvania, home of Dracula. So I'm 8 hours away. But what they started is a food drive. So mga Pilipino donating either canned goods or cash if possible, mahirap din kung cash. And then they would distribute it to fellow Filipinos who lost their jobs. So talagang, in big grocery bags, 12 eggs, 1 chicken, something rice, if anything to let them get by. And then at the same time, those of us working in the NGO sector like me, we were in contact with the IOM, the International Organization for Migration, and the local governments to really, because this is illegal actually to do this, to fire people without their knowledge and to make them sign contracts that they don't understand the language. So it was really amazing to see. I mean, very sad that we're put in this situation, especially because Romania, we're not Schengen. So talagang trapped dito ang mga Pilipino. Imagine you cannot fly back to the Philippines because the flights are cancelled. You cannot go to other Schengen countries kasi yung passport natin, you need a Schengen visa. So what can you do? If you have no job and you cannot leave the country, what can you do? So it was really inspirational to see, and definitely at some point, there was also compassion fatigue. You mentioned that after a few months you lose both funding, but also it's really hard actually. It's really hard to keep on caring so much. And but it's been ongoing. I think people are supporting each other. But it's very difficult, especially for people like me. I have no psychological training. So to be able to distance yourself from all of the suffering has been really hard. I've seen many friends and colleagues also suffer emotionally from this. So we support each other.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay, anyone who would like to ask a question? Okay, so we have here comments from Corelia Serrano. She says, such a great speaker, Dr. D. We also have comments here. Good morning, everyone. This is Remery V. Gerali from Ringog City. Thank you for the opportunity hearing from a great speaker on this research conference. So I guess a few people are, some of our researchers are still shy, or the typical Filipino, very much afraid to ask questions. So I guess that would be for this morning for Dr. D. Thank you very much for joining us, and also to Dr. Ray. Thank you. I hope the weather is better there in Leyte. And so for the plenary session this morning has been concluded, and for this afternoon we begin at 1 o'clock. Please be on the Google Meet link at around 12:30 or 12:45. We will have with us Dr. Julmar Asilo from Manuel University that will serve as our panel for the research studies submitted to the conference that belong to Management and Community Development. So, thank you very much once again, Dr. D. Palakpakan naman si Dr. D.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. B. Welcome
Very
back to the
proud.
Philippines. Welcome back to the Philippines.
Welcome back
Ay,
to the
as
Philippines.
Ken, talagang mahirap mag-fly back. Sana
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you. Everyone who joined us this morning, please stay with us this afternoon. So we have 26 presenters. So see you later. Thank you very much, Dr. D again.